Have you ever poured your heart into helping someone only to be met with indifference or, worse, outright disrespect? You hold the door for someone and they stroll past without so much as a nod. You go out of your way to assist a co-worker, and instead of gratitude, you get a snide remark. Moments like these make you pause and wonder, did I do something wrong? Is my kindness worth it? Before you start questioning your goodness, let's take a step back. The problem isn't your kindness, it's how, when, and to whom it's given. Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness, far from being a weakness, is one of the greatest expressions of inner strength. However, kindness without wisdom or boundaries, that's a recipe for being taken advantage of. This video isn't about discouraging kindness. Instead, it's about transforming your generosity into a powerful force that reflects your self-worth and values. Together, we'll unpack the timeless lessons of Stoic philosophy and explore how to practice kindness in a way that earns respect rather than diminishes it. So stay with me. Every second of this message has the potential to reshape how you approach kindness, ensuring it becomes a strength no one can ignore. Let's begin with understanding why your kindness might work against you. Imagine a man named John. He's a kind neighbor, always ready to help anyone in need. When his friend forgets their keys, John skips dinner to drive across town and deliver the spare. When a neighbor's gate breaks, he puts aside his personal projects to fix it. At first, his help is met with heartfelt gratitude. But over time, John's generosity becomes expected. One day, he refuses a request because he's too busy. Instead of understanding, he's met with criticism. John begins to feel taken advantage of, wondering, is my kindness even appreciated? We've all been in John's shoes. Kindness, when given without boundaries, can easily be misunderstood or taken for granted. Stoic philosophy explains that the issue isn't kindness itself, but how we practice it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts." If your kindness comes from a need to please or fear of rejection, your soul becomes colored by dependency. But when guided by values and self-awareness, kindness transforms into strength. Consider another example. Sophia, an outstanding employee at a large firm, often works late, taking on extra responsibilities without complaint. Initially, her efforts are met with admiration from colleagues and praise from her boss. But as time goes on, her dedication is taken for granted. One day, Sophia declines working late due to health reasons. The result? Her boss seems disappointed, and her colleagues find it inconvenient. That's when Sophia realizes that kindness without boundaries doesn't inspire respect. It breeds endless expectations. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness isn't about unconditional sacrifice. It requires balance and wisdom. Setting boundaries doesn't diminish the value of kindness. It protects it from being exploited. Kindness that isn't rooted in confidence and self-awareness risks becoming a cycle of resentment for the giver and entitlement for the receiver. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Give with an open heart, but don't forget to set limits. Your kindness is a precious asset, not an infinite obligation. When you practice purposeful kindness, you not only safeguard your dignity, but also elevate the value of your actions. Kindness shouldn't be used to seek approval, but to reflect your inner strength, something no one can diminish. Let's dive into the fine line between kindness and pleasing everyone. Imagine a man named Mark, a dedicated father who always puts his family first. Whenever someone in the household needs help, Mark is there. He works long hours to provide, spends evenings fixing things around the house, and uses his weekends to chauffeur his kids to activities. At first, his family appreciated his dedication, but over time, Mark's constant willingness became an expectation. When he finally declined a request because he was too exhausted, he faced complaints. "You always help. Why not now?" This was when Mark realized that his unconditional devotion wasn't inspiring respect, but instead fostering unchecked entitlement. This story resonates with many of us. Kindness, when offered without boundaries, is often taken for granted or even exploited. Stoic philosophy teaches that kindness isn't about limitless sacrifice. It's an intentional act requiring wisdom and balance. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your kindness stems from a fear of disappointing others, your soul absorbs the hue of dependence. But when your kindness is rooted in values and self-awareness, it transforms into true strength. Consider another example. Lisa, a dedicated nurse who goes above and beyond for her patients and even steps in to help her co-workers. Initially, her efforts are praised, but over time they become an expectation. One day, Lisa decides to take a break to focus on her health, only to face criticism for not being as available as before. This is when Lisa understands that kindness without boundaries doesn't command respect. It creates endless demands. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness should be fortified with mindfulness and purpose. Setting boundaries doesn't diminish your kindness, it elevates it. It's not a sign of selfishness, but a way to honor yourself and those around you. By establishing boundaries, you protect your kindness from being exploited and preserve it as a genuine act of goodwill. So the next time you feel inclined to say yes to a request, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Am I giving out of genuine sincerity or fear of rejection? These questions help you assess your motivations and shape your kindness wisely. Remember, boundaries aren't walls. They're frameworks for building healthy relationships based on respect and balance. When you practice intentional kindness, you enrich your own life while transforming it into a strength that no one can overlook. Let's now explore how to be firm without losing your true self. Imagine a man named Jack, known among friends and co-workers for his boundless kindness and enthusiasm. If someone needs help moving, Jack is the first to show up with a truck. When a co-worker is overwhelmed, Jack willingly takes on extra tasks. At first, everyone appreciates his generosity, but over time, his willingness becomes an expectation. One day, Jack says no. He's exhausted and needs a break. Instead of understanding, he faces disappointment and even criticism. That's when Jack realizes his kindness, though pure in intention, has been misunderstood and exploited. This scenario isn't unique to Jack. It reflects how kindness, when not paired with self-assertion, can be misconstrued as weakness. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on reason and self-awareness, teaches us that true kindness isn't just about giving, it's about intentional giving, rooted in personal values and balance. Kindness shouldn't be tied to fear of rejection or the desire to please. Instead, it should reflect inner strength and self-respect. Consider Emily, a mother who always puts her family's needs first. She sacrifices personal time, hobbies, and self-care to ensure everyone else is cared for. At first, her family appreciates her efforts, but over time, however, her sacrifices become an unspoken expectation. One day, Emily decides to dedicate one evening a week to herself, reading, practicing yoga, or simply unwinding. Her family initially resists, used to her constant availability. But Emily knows that if she doesn't set boundaries, she risks burnout and diminishing the value of her contributions. Through this decision, she learns that loving herself is just as important as loving others. Stoic philosophy reminds us that boundaries aren't barriers, but tools to protect mental health and sustain healthy relationships. Boundaries make kindness clearer and more respected. When you set limits, you not only protect yourself, but also teach others to value your contributions. It starts with small actions, politely declining an invitation that doesn't interest you, or limiting the amount of help you can provide. Now, picture a different scenario. You have a friend who frequently borrows money without returning it. Initially, you lend because you believe they genuinely need help. But as the requests grow, you feel taken advantage of. Without boundaries, the cycle continues. Setting a firm but respectful limit doesn't just safeguard your finances, it challenges your friend to address their behavior. Though it may feel uncomfortable at first, this creates a healthier, more balanced relationship. Kindness shouldn't come at the cost of self-abandonment. It must be offered with confidence, clarity, and fidelity to your personal values. This doesn't diminish your worth in the eyes of others. On the contrary, it shows that you understand your limits and live with integrity. A thoughtfully communicated no can earn more respect than a pressured yes. By setting boundaries and learning to say no gracefully, you not only protect your mental well-being, but also inspire others to do the same. You demonstrate that kindness isn't submission, it's a strength born from self-respect and sincerity. When practiced intentionally, kindness enriches your life and radiates its value to those around you. However, for kindness to thrive, you must learn to protect it. So think back. When was the last time you said yes to something you didn't want to do? Next time, will you have the courage to set boundaries without compromising your inherent kindness? Often, it's in these seemingly small, everyday moments that we rediscover the balance between kindness and self-respect, a balance essential for leading a life of meaning and integrity. Now let's talk about striking the right balance between kindness and self-worth. I remember a time a few years ago when I helped a close friend fix her car. She was going through a rough financial patch and couldn't afford to take it to a mechanic. I spent my entire Saturday diagnosing the problem, sourcing the parts, and fixing the car. At first, she was incredibly grateful, even bringing me coffee and pastries as a token of thanks. But just a few weeks later, when the car had another issue, she called me again. This time, not to ask, but almost expecting me to step in. It wasn't that I didn't want to help, but her tone carried an assumption that made me feel my effort had been taken for granted. That was the moment I realized that kindness, without boundaries, doesn't just exhaust you, it diminishes its own value. Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness must be paired with wisdom and clear boundaries. Without these, kindness can easily be misunderstood, undervalued, or even exploited. I started to understand that setting boundaries doesn't make you less kind. In fact, it preserves your kindness as a genuine and voluntary act rather than an obligation. Boundaries are not walls that isolate us from others. They're bridges that nurture healthy relationships. Take the story of Josh, a colleague of mine who was always willing to take on extra tasks for others because he couldn't bring himself to say no. At first, everyone praised Josh as an amazing co-worker who was always ready to lend a hand. But as his workload increased, he began to feel burned out and resentful. Eventually, he decided to set limits, declining unnecessary requests and focusing on his own responsibilities. Strangely enough, instead of straining relationships, this newfound clarity earned him more respect. On another occasion, I witnessed a busy mother sacrificing all her personal time to care for her family. She gave up hobbies and pleasures, devoting every moment to meeting the needs of her children and spouse. Initially, her sacrifices were appreciated, but over time, they became an unspoken expectation. When she decided to take one evening a week for herself to attend yoga classes, her family initially felt unsettled, even resistant. Yet over time, they saw how this change not only brought her renewed energy, but also taught them the value of balance. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness isn't just about giving, it's about knowing when to hold back. A kind gesture means more when it's done willingly and sincerely, rather than out of pressure to please others. Ask yourself, do I genuinely want to do this? Does this align with my values? These questions help you recognize when to say yes and when to say no. Kindness isn't self-sacrifice, it's a voluntary offering. Remember, kindness only holds its true value when you maintain your self-worth and balance. Stoic teachings remind us that practicing kindness with wisdom and self-awareness doesn't just foster meaningful relationships, it helps you live a fulfilling and authentic life. So next time you're asked for help, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, is this how I want to show my kindness? The answer will guide you to make decisions that protect yourself while also spreading the true essence of kindness. Let's wrap up by turning kindness into a source of inner strength. Kindness is a beautiful gift we offer to the world, but sometimes that very gift can leave us feeling empty or hurt. There are moments when our kindness is misunderstood, overlooked, or worse, taken for granted. But experiences like these should never deter us from the path of kindness. Instead, Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness must stem from an inner strength, a flame that cannot be extinguished, no matter how fierce the winds of ingratitude or disregard may blow. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." His words remind us that the value of kindness doesn't lie in how others perceive or react to it, but in how steadfastly we uphold our moral principles. Imagine a co-worker you tirelessly supported at work, only for them to take full credit for a project's success without acknowledging your contributions. The sting of betrayal is undoubtedly painful, but as Stoicism suggests, the worth of your kindness isn't measured by how it's received, but by your unwavering commitment to doing what is right. Kindness, rooted in inner conviction, doesn't require recognition to thrive. It exists because you choose to do what's right. This principle applies even in the intimacy of family relationships. Picture a mother who tirelessly prepares every meal for her family, always the last to leave the table after cleaning up. At first, her dedication is met with gratitude, but over time, it becomes an unspoken expectation. If her kindness were tied to the expectation of appreciation, she might feel disheartened and exhausted. But if she acts out of love and a belief that this is how she nurtures her family, her strength will remain unshaken, no matter how indifferent others may seem. Stoicism invites us to examine our motivations. Why am I being kind? Where does my kindness originate? These are not easy questions to answer, but they are essential. If kindness stems from a need for approval or validation, it becomes fragile, easily broken by a lack of reciprocation. But when it arises from inner will and core values, it becomes unshakable, regardless of others' behavior. Kindness, at its purest, strikes a delicate balance between compassion and self-respect. It's the art of blending generosity with firm boundaries, empathy with reason. In healthy relationships, kindness isn't a one-way street where one side gives and the other only receives. It's a genuine exchange that nurtures both parties, fostering mutual growth and understanding. In this balance, kindness transcends its conventional meaning, transforming into a powerful force that builds deeper, more meaningful connections. As Stoicism emphasizes, kindness not only alleviates others' suffering, but also strengthens us, turning every generous act into a living expression of dignity and inner strength. Seneca wisely observed, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." When practiced with wisdom, kindness brings not only joy, but also profound, meaningful connections. But this can only happen when we maintain our self-worth and sense of value while giving. You cannot truly be kind to others if you are not kind to yourself. This requires self-awareness. Is my kindness constructive? Does it help both sides grow? If the answer aligns with your principles, your kindness is genuine and purposeful. Kindness isn't a sign of weakness. It's a conscious choice and an expression of deep inner strength. In a world that often celebrates toughness over tenderness, kindness becomes a way to affirm your dignity without shouting or demanding. When you choose kindness, not out of fear of losing respect, but as a reflection of your values, you'll earn respect not from everyone, but from those who truly appreciate the virtue of generosity. So ask yourself, does my kindness make me stronger? Does it help me live in alignment with my values? If your answer is yes, you've transformed kindness into a source of inner strength, something untouched by others' disrespect or ingratitude. Ultimately, kindness isn't something you offer in search of recognition. It's a choice you make to affirm who you are. In Stoicism, this is how we live with freedom and integrity. Today, we've explored 5 powerful lessons about kindness: how to turn it into inner strength, set boundaries without losing compassion, and ensure your kindness becomes a foundation for respect rather than a reason for others to take advantage of you. These lessons deepen your understanding of yourself and equip you with a guide to channel your kindness wisely, allowing you to live true to your values with confidence and pride. Remember, kindness is never a weakness, but the ultimate expression of an enlightened, mature soul, guided by wisdom and love. When you learn to give thoughtfully, kindness not only brightens the world around you, but also becomes a radiant light that protects and empowers you throughout your life's journey. So don't hesitate to let your kindness shine. The world needs more of that light. If this video resonated with you, if it gave you a new perspective on kindness, take a moment to click the like button. It means the world to me and motivates me to create even more meaningful content for you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, perspectives, and experiences with kindness, whether it's brought you joy or tested your patience. And don't forget to share this video with your loved ones. Who knows, this message might be exactly what they need today, more than even their morning coffee. If today's discussion resonated with you, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the upcoming videos. I promise there's so much more inspiration and Stoic wisdom headed your way. Finally, let's spread the light of kindness together. It starts with small but meaningful actions. Sharing this video, reflecting on your own kindness. These simple gestures create a ripple effect of positivity. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep moving forward with kindness and the strength it brings.